Welcome! Today, we're going to completely change the way you think about language. Seriously, forget everything you learned about grammar and vocabulary in school. We're about to dive into the single most powerful, dangerous, and yes, subversive trait that natural selection has ever cooked up. So, when evolutionary biologist Mark Pagel says that, what is he talking about? It's not our thumbs, it's not our big brains. Nope. He's talking about something we all use constantly, every single day, without even thinking about it. He's talking about a piece of technology. I want you to really let that definition sink in for a second. Neural audio technology. I mean, how cool is that? It basically frames language as a kind of remote control for other people's brains. You're sending out these little pulses of sound to literally reach inside someone else's head and change what they think, plant a new idea, or get them to do something. It's mind control, but, with words. And of course, this ability to rewire minds is a massive double-edged sword. Its power has been understood and feared for thousands of years, creating this fundamental tension that has pretty much shaped all of human history. You've probably heard the ancient story of the Tower of Babel, right? It's the perfect warning about this very power. In the story, all of humanity speaks a single shared language, and it allows for such incredible cooperation that they start building a tower to challenge the heavens. And what's the solution? Well, it's to create a whole bunch of different languages to make sure we could never, ever cooperate on that kind of scale again. And that story just perfectly captures the great irony of it all. This amazing tool that evolved to help us cooperate is also the main thing that divides us. It's wild to think that our languages often exist not to help us talk to each other, but to stop us from talking to outsiders. So, how on earth did we get to this point? Well, to understand why language even evolved in the first place, we have to go back and look at the huge evolutionary problem it showed up to solve. A problem that kept our ancestors and basically every other animal on the planet stuck in a technological rut for a very, very long time. Get this, for 1 million years, that is 40,000 generations, our ancestor Homo erectus made the exact same stone hand axe. No upgrades, no improvements, nothing. It's the same reason chimpanzees today are still using sticks to fish for termites, instead of inventing a backhoe. They're all missing one critical skill. And that missing skill is social learning. This is our species' absolute superpower. It's the ability to learn just by watching other people, copying what they do, and then building on their ideas. It's why our knowledge stacks up over generations. And it's the reason we're sitting here with smartphones instead of sharp sticks. But this superpower created a massive crisis. Because when you boil it down, social learning is basically visual theft, right? If I can just watch you and steal your brilliant new idea for a tool, I get all of the reward without any of the hard work you put in to figure it out. So here's the big question. In a world full of visual theft, what's your motivation to innovate? Why would you ever share your best ideas? So about 200,000 years ago, our species was standing at a huge evolutionary crossroads. We could go with option 1, pull back into tiny, paranoid family groups, and hoard all our knowledge. That's probably the path the Neanderthals took, and, well, it didn't end well for them. Or we could choose option 2, invent a whole new way to work together. And we, Homo sapiens, we took the second path. We developed a revolutionary piece of social technology that would let us unlock the power of our collective brains. And that technology, you guessed it, was language. Okay, let me show you how this works with a super simple example. Imagine you're really good at making sharp stone arrowheads. Without language, you try to give them to someone who's good at making the wooden shafts. They might just think it's a gift, take them, and walk away. And now you've got a fight, but add language. Now you can say, hey, I'll give you these arrowheads if you give me finished arrows. Let's split it, 50-50. Boom, a deal is made. Cooperation is now possible. And that right there is the core idea. Language didn't evolve so we could gossip or write poetry. It evolved as a social tool to manage cooperation, to let us make deals, coordinate our actions, and build trust so that visual theft could turn into collaborative progress. And this new superpower was absolutely transformative. I love this analogy. Just like wings opened up the skies for birds, language opened up the entire sphere of cooperation for humanity. It's what allowed us to spread all over the planet, build cities and spaceships, while every other animal, well, basically stayed put. But here is where the story takes a really bizarre twist. After inventing this incredible tool that could unite everyone, As humans spread out across the globe, we didn't stick with just one language. We did the exact opposite. We developed thousands of them. Right now, there are around 7,000 distinct languages spoken on Earth. So instead of one global communication network, we built thousands of tiny little separate ones that couldn't talk to each other. And what's really fascinating is that the most languages aren't found in giant countries, but in places where people are packed in tight. Just look at Papua New Guinea. You can find a brand new language every few miles. It's almost like we use language not just to talk to our own group, but to put up a verbal fence to keep outsiders out. So the solution became a new kind of problem. All this linguistic diversity now gets in the way of the very things language was supposed to help. It slows down the spread of ideas, of technology, even of genes between different groups. I mean, think about it. We tend not to trade with, cooperate with, or have kids with people we literally cannot talk to. And that brings us right up to today, to our modern dilemma, where this ancient instinct to form linguistic tribes is crashing head-on into our super-connected, globalized world. I mean, today we are more connected than we have ever been in history. Our digital networks, they stretch across the entire globe. A map of Facebook friendships literally redraws the map of the world into one giant community. But that community is still shattered into thousands of pieces by all these language barriers. And these barriers have a real massive cost. The European Union spends over $1.45 billion every single year just on translating between its 23 official languages. That is a staggering amount of money, a tax we pay just because of linguistic diversity. You know, in almost every other area of our lives, when we have different ways of doing the same thing, they don't stick around forever. One standard pretty much always wins out in the end. We've seen it with measurements, with how we track time, and with things like DVDs and MP3s. There just seems to be this unstoppable march towards having one single standard. So, all of this leaves us with a huge and kind of provocative final question. For our species, whose entire success was built on a technology designed to make cooperation easier, in a modern world that depends on global cooperation more than ever, can we really afford to have all these different languages? Is our ultimate destiny to become one world with one language?